This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
About to end, but we just watched the sweetest moment of June arriving to the den. Nobody's here. And then June does what every mother hyena does, puts her head in the dentrance and makes this very low sound. Really, really low. And the cub immediately can identify, that's my mom. Mom is calling. And of course, little Novella popped out. Ah, Mom. She's just over there. But for some reason, she's not following. I think your mom is waiting. Now we're being defiant. You woke up, you responded, now it's time to follow. Here's June, look. Waiting, waiting, waiting. It's so nice to see June, and look how just massive she is. June is a big hyena. She always has been one of the larger females, and she's full and just huge. She's bigger than Intima in terms of size and body weight. She's a big girl. God. Novella, I really think you should go and join your mom. The cubs seem to reach an age where they just don't want to respond to mom anymore. We've watched this a few times with Ntima, even Ribbon at one point. And June's coming back. I think she's gonna start to get angry. And it's a full belly. She's definitely feasted recently. On what? Ah, that's perfect. Ah, perfect. Thank you, June. Somebody's coming. Hello. Mind my head, my cameraman tells me. Would you rather look at the hyenas or my head? Hyenas. Thank you, Dobby. Oh, sweet. We haven't had a moment like this in a while at the den. Oh no, please don't walk away, June. I think this happens a lot. They seem to have a spot that's nestled in the grass not too far away. And when we come here, I think that's sometimes why we don't see them. Novella's not following. She looks so different, my goodness. Nervous. Many of you are also happy, me too. That's why it's worth coming by. I mean, the pain of coming by and having it empty is hard going, but that's why you've just got to keep trying. Patience really does pay off. I don't think this sighting's going to last terribly long, but at least we get to see them. Know that everybody's doing okay. Now, Novella, which means adore in Shangaan, is such a nice name. And she was born late November, early December 2020, so still very, very young. And Susan, you're saying? Kids will be kids, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think it's easy to be a mother, human or any other mammal, at least. Look at June, she's just watching. Now she's coming back again. For some reason, Novella is just refusing to follow. But June, as a mother, knows that Novella will be hungry. Look at the two of them. Just like this standoff. Duncan, right now, Novella should be following June. June is trying to go to a little private space to feed Novella, and she's obviously refusing. But in terms of hunting, it depends on age. And that's a really interesting question, because what's happened to the Djuma clan right now is a sort of split. This den where we're sitting right now used to be the hubbub of all activity. Everybody used to be here. Every single cub and sometimes every single mother. We're starting to make some decisions. And the younger two, which is Novella and Ntima's son, who's not got a name yet, stay in the den. They're still far too young. So this cub that we're looking at is too young to be going on hunts. Far too small. Look at her. She's learning. So June, who's coming back, by the way, is taking her further and further away from the den. And it's probably to go into some sun and a nice sweet spot. But it's also to teach the youngsters. It's also to teach the youngsters, come with me, come with me, come with me. It's a process. Slowly but surely they're going to start to learn to go further, what's safe, what's not, follow mum. And eventually they'll reach the stage of the other cubs like Ngwazi and Shimbulu. They are completely roaming young, wild and free. Following mum, going to kill sites, maybe even attempting to hunt much, much smaller animals. Gingarika and Pumela are still younger. And I think because there's the two older boys, if that makes sense, Gingarika, Pumela and Braveheart are following suit. This is not going to plan, everyone. She seems really nervous. What's up, little one? You know the WildEarth vehicle. Strange that Mom's here, who's coming back once again. Joy, I actually just mentioned that, Joy in Hong Kong. Novella means adore in Shangaan. It's a beautiful, beautiful word. I love it. I really do. Adore. Novella. We actually put Novella's naming to the viewers as a poll. We gave a choice and I'm very, very glad Novella got chosen. That was the one I wanted. She's so small, but she's also getting so big. What's up? And of course, for the younger two, Novella and Antima's son, they've lost the older cubs. All that bonding they had, all that love and care and fun they had with Shimbulu and Ngwazi, they've gone. They've disappeared. They may come back. They may... What is wrong? I'm crying here. I think we might be finally getting somewhere. We're taking on an alternative method to suckling here. It's not normally the positioning. Oh, okay, yeah, we're getting there. That took a while, didn't it? Good job, June. Persistence paid off for you as a mother. Edward, 100%. June is such a patient mum. That was a lot of back and forth. Cup was nervous for some reason, not happy, and that was a lot of come on now, come on now, come on now. Yes, very patient. June's a good high, and I've got a lot of love for June. She's always sort of just been in the middle. That stable friend that we all have who's never up, never down. That's that friend that you can rely on. That's June. And she's beautiful. She's been through the wars. She's obviously got Sutu. She's done very, very well with Sutu. You regularly see them together. Sutu's her older daughter. And of course now she's got little Novella.
So we've come all the way around the floodplain and there are no elephants, but there are some waterbuck who are looking very beautiful and very alert. And I do not know if you can see it, but I will point it out. There's a tiny little baby whose ears are just barely visible above the grass. How sweet is that? And I wish you could see more of it, because waterbuck calves are my favorite antelope babies. They are so fluffy. I mean, you can see the adults are extremely fluffy as well. And I'm sure that you know that most young animals are a lot more fluffy than the adults. So you can imagine with these adults already being fluffy, just how fluffy that youngster would be. It's also a male making his way over to them. There he is. How beautiful those horns. So proud. What lovely markings, that very prominent white kind of eyebrow. And then the very obvious white ring on their rump. It's quite funny because we were sitting here all very calmly and they suddenly all scattered, but it looks like they're all kind of making their way back to one another. The males rejoining them. There's a few more on the left. I can't see them now, but they are kind of slowly making their way back into the herd. Edward, they do look like teddy bears. Teddy bears on quite long legs, but yeah, they are extremely, extremely fluffy. I really wish that the grass wasn't so long so that we could get a better look at that little one. But I mean, even the adults look quite teddy bear-like with those rounded ears, and there's a little one. You can just see its ears and just see its eye above the grass. I always think that these are kind of our version of, or the African version of reindeer with that fluff. They look a bit like reindeer, and they're very fluffy, and that pretty heart-shaped nose. Oh, male looked like he was showing some interest. Oh, she's also been quite submissive, lifting her tail like that too. See what he's doing there, lifting his upper lip? That's called a phlegm and grimace. And what they actually do there is, I don't think he managed to get an actual stream of urine, maybe just a smell, but they actually will put their tongue into a stream of urine or just up against the bum of a female, and they are testing the pheromones and hormones that female is releasing, and he'll be testing whether or not she's ready to mate, whether or not she's in estrus. It's got a organ at the back of his palate called the Jacobson organ, and that's where he kind of puts the urine to test. Tammy, no, I've not seen mating waterbuck actually. I don't think that I've seen mating waterbuck. I can't quite remember, but no, I don't think I have. I don't think it's a difficult thing to see. We just don't have that many waterbuck on Phinda, so we don't see them and all their behaviour all that often. But as you saw there, he kind of pushed himself up against her and looked like he was about to mount. So I don't think they're very secretive about it. So I don't think it would be a difficult thing to observe.
Being a safari driver requires...
I'm Maggie, also known as Mia My Cat on Twitter. I purchased the Ticket to Dreams so that I would make it back to Africa someday, so here I am. I enjoy WildEarth very much. Just the experience it brings to everybody, it just helps everybody cope with things.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part about today is seeing Maribs, seeing him stalk the waterbuck and seeing the interaction between the waterbuck and him, and he's just an impressive little guy.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's very exciting to be on a live drive at Djuma, to see how things work in the back and to be certainly much closer to the animals.
As one of the industry's best and FGASA endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a FGASA accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. We're in a misty area where you look in the background where we got your impalas, but it's kind of a foggy a little bit. And this is how we're going to be probably taking everybody around to find animals. My name is Andrew, and this morning I have Theo. Quarantine. It's always a great place to start or begin the drive. Well, Impala, they're also taking it easy, which they don't seems to really been threatened. So today's temperature is 13 degrees Celsius. And then also very apologize for all the technical issue that happened this morning, and then hopefully everything's going to be carrying on just like that. Very apologize, everybody. Temperature of today is 13 degrees Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. And remember, we're still coming to you live from these locations, and we would like to hear from you. If you can send your questions through hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, as well as at FC on YouTube. But also, if you are under the age of 18, you can still pop us an email on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Or else you go register, which you go on the WildEarth website, head over to the live safari page, and you can submit your question there. Beautiful and fluffy this morning, all these impalas. So us will be starting to check from this side. I will check if this Bride of Lion is still around. TRISHALA also should be mobile about, hopefully. Which of course Brideland's Mike will be out there. Tswalu, which is OB, will be also ongoing that side. Look like there is a male that is always close to these females, see how they're operating around here. So we're going to carry on, look around in this misty morning. I'm going to be sending you across to Mike to say hello to everybody.
Along our search, it is a frigidly cold morning here in the Lowveld. We're not quite as misty as it is at Djuma, but there's a little bit of a mist in the air. We are here at Leopard Dam, just trying to stay warm. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson, behind the camera is Craig, and this is Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy. We've come to Leopard Dam because we haven't been here in a couple of days. We just wanted to investigate and see how it's going. We've got just a few Egyptian geese at the moment, busy dabbling in the water's edge close to where the mud wallows are, the very far end of the dam. And then, apart from the Egyptian geese, there's only one other... Oh, yes, we are talking about you. They're taking their moment to shine. The only other life that I can see... Oh, 2 more geese coming in. That's why they're getting all frustrated. Very territorial, our Egyptian geese. So they are not happy about this other 2 that just did a flyby. And there's also a grey heron watching this all unfold very patiently on top of a dead leadwood on the far end of the dam, not so far from the geese. It's gone up into that tree in order to get the first of the sun's golden rays this morning. I think what we might do is just enjoy a moment of silence for a moment, to hear the dawn chorus. Sure, a lot of these birds are quite happy to see the sun rising again. It's extremely cold. Probably around about the coldest this morning, 8 degrees. What is that? Double plus 30. Let's say about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure where you're all watching from, but that is extremely cold. I think in anyone's book. Oh, we also had some exciting things happen last night. We had told you about yesterday that Lagatha, the lioness, had made a kill somewhere at Ndlovu Dam. We weren't able to find it. It was in a low signal area, but this morning, at about 5 o'clock, she had a big ruckus with a bunch of hyenas. And I think the hyenas stole her carcass, and we actually watched her in the darkness, just running along the Ndlovu Dam wall where we were standing yesterday afternoon. We saw her in our head torch light, not very bright, just running along the wall and then running right past where my tent and where Craig's tent is as well. It was really exciting. So we're going to let Morris and his team try and find her this morning. Maybe some of the game viewers would love to watch her. So we have actually left that area because it's not really good to walk, especially after she's been disturbed by so many animals, hyenas and elephants. Let's give her a bit of space. Right, well, we're going to enjoy a nice warm brew whilst we sit and see if anything else arrives. And in the meantime, I'm sure Trish would love to say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard. It's me, TRISHALA. I've got Morgan and camera with me. It's very, very misty, and there's a lot of moisture in the air. I suppose in our ears too, but in the air, and we're collecting quite a bit of it. So you might see Morgan wipe the lens quite a lot. We're going to keep it quite local this morning. Maybe Zoe's, Lamont's Cut Line, Treehouse Dam, that kind of area. And see what we can find. Now, in this mist, anything would look fantastic. It's like not quite misty like that other morning. It's rather like a heavy, saturated look, like it's a rainy day, that kind of look, not like, remember the other morning when it was just like zero visibility? It's not quite like that. Oh, male leopard tracks from last night. You figure out the timing of tracks when you have this kind of change You can see whether this track is on top of the moist soil, or it's under. It was almost clearly under, and not as well defined as I would have hoped if they were from this morning. Elephants in the Mist also a winner. Still wanting to see Kalamba though. The wind's picked up a little bit too. Feels quite ominous. Well, let me send you over to Andrew as we make our way a little further south and see if we can pick up something.
So, we also on a bumble, hoping to find something interesting, very interesting this morning. So while I have left quarantine, all I'll do, I'll check northwards from Gary Dam, hopefully for a spotted cat this morning.
Sorry about that. Tech issues, the bush, these things are all part of life here in Southern Africa, especially if you're doing filming in these remote locations. But luckily we're still here at Leopard Dam to enjoy that rising sun casting its golden glow on the edge of the dam. Getting much drier now, and the grass is starting to get flattened by the animals that are coming to the waterhole. We've seen a buffalo herd in Tswalu Dam 3 days in a row now. And it's amazing, those animals will eat kilograms and kilograms of grass every single day, plus that which they trample down. So although we're still seeing this year more grass than normal for this time of year, in not a long time, I'm sure that will be a very different case. All the grass will be flattened and destroyed, ready for the new growth in a few months. How time flies, actually. To think that winter is almost over and it's about to become the next rain season again. Hello, Jumping Castle. Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying this morning. Yes, geese are very territorial. These Egyptian geese, as you might have seen a bit earlier, all of a sudden started making a lot of noise and raising their necks out. And sometimes you'll even see them open their wings to make themselves look larger. And they will viciously attack any intruders. Not only other geese, but smaller birds as well. I mean, just to the right of those geese is a blacksmith lapwing, which is also a very territorial bird. But those geese will not hesitate to chase them away if they don't like them. I mean, it's quite widely recognized that geese are ferocious creatures. I mean, all over the world, in cities and parks and towns, geese chase children, not just children, even adults. Very terrifying. See that sound they're making? I'm sure those other two geese are trying to find a place to live or to set up. And they just did a fly over this little dam, and these two geese made it very, very obvious that they did not welcome the company. You can hear some crested francolin calling off to the north of us, then answered off to the west by another pair, just establishing their territorial boundaries. Most birds are quite territorial because they are small and they don't have a large amount of space to forage around for the food that they need. So they will find themselves a patch which is good, and they will defend that patch of resources. Well, we're probably going to make our way away from the dam for a short while just to investigate what else is around. And I believe Obi at Tswalu is also ready to welcome you aboard your safari from Tswalu.
Good morning and welcome to Tswalu Kalahari, another very beautiful day that's just starting here in the Northern Cape. Still a little bit milky, I could say. Sun just behind the mountains, the corona back there. Not as nippy if I'm talking about temperature, but still a little bit cold, but not that nippy. This morning I'm going to be heading more south to see what we can find out there in the south. My name is Obakeng, and behind the camera we've got Ferret doing a very wonderful job for us. This part of the reserve where I'm heading has been very active in the last few days, so I don't know what activity in particular today is going to give us, but I'm holding thumbs up and let's see what it provides. Actually, something of interest here. Gerrit, if you look at this little small camel thorn here, look at what has happened there. It looks shiny. Very shiny if you look at it. Look at that. Any takes? Anybody you want to guess what happened to that? Definitely we didn't vanish it. If that's what the kids are thinking, we did not vanish that. Anybody want to take a guess what happened there? It's actually a very interesting phenomena. In places where there's elephants, you could say ring barking, but this is not the case. We don't have elephants here. So any other guesses what could have happened here? I'm interested to hear what our viewers at home would like to think. If Gerrit, zoom out maybe a little bit and give them a bit of the whole picture, maybe that will give them hints of what had happened. Look at that. Yeah, there's some dung there, or little drolikis, as the Afrikaans word says, which means little balls or little round scat or dung. Look at the size of that dung. So I'm giving you all these clues as to what could have happened there. Look at that. There's a little bit of digging on the other side there also, so that will also give it away. And I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna stand next to the tree, and maybe that will also give you a bit of an indication as to how tall that is. So those are all things that I'm giving away, and I would be interested to hear what. So look at that. That's where it's all been done, and it's about from that size. Grumpy old man, well done. An antelope rubbing its horns. Yes, you are very right, grumpy old man. I like that name. A lot of people say I'm grumpy in the morning. I'm not. It is actually, and if you look at what the actual animal that was doing this, it would have been your blue wildebeest that would have done that. So that's almost shoulder height of the animal. So it is part of a territorial mark that you're seeing. So leaving this dung scattered around the tree itself and so on just says a lot in terms of visual aid to other how is being in this area or in this territory. You can see where the digging that I was talking about earlier, they have this behavior of actually scuffing with a hoof and kicking back. And also that is another way of marking, and everything comes together in the sense that it would be a decoded message here that would be understood by another wildebeest that would come here. And that shiny part on the back, it's actually from the two horns, or the mid of the horns, where he would come and actually put his head against the tree and just start rubbing and activating those glands to leave that message or that scent on the tree. And that's exactly what has happened here. But he's not around here. I was trying to look if we could find him around here. So probably went on foraging, but this is an area they would use so often and keep check of it. So it's close to water, there's good food around, so it's quite a good terrain to actually keep as a male dominant wildebeest. So something very interesting. I mean, it's the small little things that we take advantage of or that we take for granted, but there's a whole story of what nature has left and what we could depict from it. So I'm gonna be continuing south. As I said, the intention is look at that yellow of the sun just peeking through the corona back there. So while we do that, do travel south, we'll be sending you over to another very beautiful location in Africa.
We haven't found any interesting tracks just yet, but we're taking it nice and slow, also so that you don't get flung around on the camera. It's a little shaky, and we're just hoping that it does not rain. What we're going to do at the end of this road, we're going to stop and listen. It's quite close to our southern boundary, where this road comes out. So it's a good spot to have a listen. Lots and lots of moisture in the air, and that's going to be so welcome for all the plants and the animals that eat those plants. And it's not terribly cold, so that's pretty much the ideal situation for most of the animals around here. You have water that can condense on leaves and form droplets, and also it's not very cold, so you might see that things like reptiles, chameleons might wake up, have a little bit of a drink, and then back to estivating, because estivation is related to change in as opposed to hibernation, pretty much exclusive. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see any condensation on these leaves, but they do look a little bit moisturized, shall we say. If you look at this guari bush here, it's not as if it's not dripping, but it does look like it's it's moisturized. Either way, for small creatures, that's all they need is a bit of moisture, and obviously for impalas that are eating things like this is great and juicy.
So everybody, I've been actually on the move, and then all I have done is always stop and probably have a look at the antelope, just like what we're doing right now. Looking at these, looks like a whole of bachelor males over here. But just to check on their reaction, still quite an early morning, chance they may get hunted. And who would hunt them? Lion, leopard, possible those wild dogs, cheetahs, and such. But they don't really look worried a lot. So I'm gonna carry on, see if we come across something else on the road, or check on the other side of them. Because mainly this is when a leopard would spend time watching the prey species until it's possible for that cat to approach and attack. But all this mist you had, so Devi, you're asking would a hyena hunt impalas? They can hunt impalas. They tend to hunt everything they could, but they has to do that in group, where there isn't more than one hyenas. And the reason they have to do it in group is because they don't stalk like cats. They're more likely just to approach and running into the prey species. And then when they got it down, they got it down. But I must say that they're not actually speeding up to keep up with this impala. They can speed up more than the hyena, these antelopes. Now they've come to the burn section here. It's all about a view around themselves, but at the same time it's quite some shoots, grasses since this burned down. A growth take place, and this is what they're busy looking around for. So this is the northern boundary, and this is where we got a bride yesterday, and they're not around here. We're just checking for a possible leopard. impala, they tend to be very a medium food source. So you're asking, do I ever see an impala without these black stripe and not these common antelopes or common impalas? These will always have these black marking on their back. So always they have them. I'm not sure with the black-faced impala that I haven't actually have enough time to examine that, whether they have that black stripe on their back. Well, I haven't seen black impala either, so we don't have them around here. The oxpecker, looks like that young male's getting a little tired of seeing these birds on the face of them.
As the sun goes down in Africa, for many, the day has just begun. WildEarth is ready for the next brand new concept, and this time, it's at night. A specialized thermal drone will take to the air under the cover of darkness. As it flies above the bush, it will be searching for hotspots on the ground.
We might have a leopard on the far right of this group of hyena.
The ground team will then be called to identify the animal.
It is a warthog. That's exactly what it is. So there we go. It was a warthog that was running away from... Sorry, Warty.
And of course, it is at this time when the big cats are on the hunt.
Yeah, James just head a little bit more left.
Okay, copy. I'm going to go north around on Impala Road.
Okay, the lions are on the move, guys. Lions are chasing the wildebeest.
WildEarth is looking for a sponsor who can help turn this show to a long-running series. If you are interested, then head over to our website to find out more. wildearth.tv/sponsors. Across southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
I love being a cam-up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephant, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Tswalu, still driving around. What I've picked up thus far is a lot of jackal and a lot of hyena tracks around in this area. So obviously that says last night was a very active night for these two species, especially around here. So my question is why? So I'll still be trying to follow up and find out as to why these two particular species were up and about last night. Chances is there could have been a kill. Chances is there could have been a bigger predator around that they were following. I don't know. It's like playing investigation. So let's see. Let's try and find out. We're not too far from Tswalu Dam, the famous Tswalu Dam. So that will also give us more hints and clues once we get there to see if they did drink there or what actually went down. It also looks like, just want to confirm here. Oh wow. Also looks like there's been cheetahs around here. So let me just get to the dam and see what we can make of the whole situation here. This is why I love mornings. It's like you never know what went down the previous night. Trying to put a puzzle together. And here we are at Tswalu Dam. None of the species we're looking for, but there's some, looks like some Egyptian geese there with some ducklings. No, actually shell duck. Excuse me there for, yeah, so some shell duck with some ducklings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can count. Done very well. Yeah, this pair we often see around Tswalu Dam. This pair of shell duck. So they've obviously been successful. It's very, very good to see. Question is how many of those they'll be able to keep and raise. With ducks, it's always a difficult thing raising their young. These pair would have to kind of teach them everything they know and also provide for these ducklings. So good luck to the pair. Let's see how many of them they can keep. There's a lot of things that would go for them. Eagles and so on. So yeah, quite a tough life out there. But back to the trekking that we were doing. I just want to see something here. Gerrit. Yeah, still a lot of hyena and jackals around that I'm seeing, but it looks like they all doing two different things. So if we look, I don't know if Gerrit you'd be, or I'd have to move the vehicle a little bit over here, there, and there's been the hyena tracks actually that came to drink and went back out, and this looks like spotted hyena. Now in the track you'd be able to obviously ID. It's not that obvious to ID that or tell the difference between the hyenas, but once I tell you how we do it, then it almost becomes like obvious. You'll see with your spotted hyena, your front paw is big and your hind paw is much smaller. And with your brown, which we also do get here, you get the similarity of big paw in front and small paw at the back. But what often comes through is because they are such a woolly animal or a hairy animal in between the toes. That fur sticks out, and on their track it shows. It's like a brush coming through between the tracks, and that's why you can tell the difference between your spotted and your brown hyena. But this looks like definitely spotted and slightly bigger. But also don't be fooled, because in the desert here the sand is very loose and tracks seem in most cases a lot bigger than what they would often be. So it takes a good eye to start recognizing such detail and such differences. But the jackals, on the other hand, went the other way. So I'm still going to be around in this block and searching and trying to decode what was happening and who was following who and why. So let's carry on and search this block, and hopefully something comes out. Vicky, are jackals more scavengers than hunters? Actually, jackals are one of the most adaptable animals, in the sense that they would do what they need to do to survive, depending on where and how. So for example, if you put them in an area where there's an abundance of food, things like rats, mice, lizards, and so on, they'll happily hunt and they would thrive on such. But then also, if you put them in an area where there's a lot of apex predators, things like your lions, leopard, and so on, and they don't have to hunt as much, then they'll also take that. And also, if you put them in a situation where sometimes they have to even eat berries, then they would also do that. So a very versatile and adaptable animal in that sense. Always remember this about nature. It's very simple. It's all about using the least energy for the most reward. Now, wow. Okay. Gerard, I don't know if we can. I'm gonna just try to put us in a way that I can point out these tracks. I think you can actually see them from there. I'm just gonna try point out here. So our puzzle is almost coming together. I don't know, can you? Yeah. So what we've been seeing earlier was hyena, as I was explaining, but now look at what we've found here. It's 1, 2, 3 lobes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can just see the claw marks here. Look at how narrow, if I compare it to my thumb. So it's almost 2.5 times of my thumb, and about that long, which is almost like a third of my hand, going in that direction. And that is the one stride. So here we're looking at cheetah, as I was saying earlier on, and this is more clearer, and that's why I wanted to show that. So also the cheetah have been here, but interesting enough that I was pointing the lobes at the back and showing you the claw marks is cheetah is one of the cats, or the only cat really, with the exception that it cannot fully retract its claws, and that's why you'd still be able to see those claw marks on its tracks, even though it shows signs that it is a cat with 3 lobes, where a dog-related animal would only have 2 lobes. So clearly something did go down here last night. Very, very interesting. And it does make sense, because, I mean, these guys would have taken advantage of what the moon looks like at current. The moon is still quite bright late in the evenings or late at night. So I'm not surprised that these guys might have even been walking late last night, even though they are diurnal animals. So this is going to call for a very interesting finding later, I'm hoping. So yeah, let's keep rolling and see if we can solve this puzzle. So while we do this, we'll be sending you over to another very beautiful location in Africa. Enjoy.
I too am searching. I need to find some puzzle pieces though, start putting together a puzzle. Unfortunately, I haven't found any just yet. So we've gone past Treehouse Dam, now going to make our way towards Twin Dams. Like I said, we're going to keep it local today. Or mostly local. And then we'll check the southern boundary too, since we're right here. Very, very, very saturated. It feels like it's like rain, but it's not. Especially in certain areas. It's also very quiet. But again, the sound's not going to carry very well because it's so saturated with moisture, the air. So we're going to park off Twin Dams and have a listen. But for now, we're going to send you over to Andrew.
Everybody, we also have been on the move since, but yeah, we haven't come across anything in terms of tracks, but we're still on look around, and we still believe that the leopards, but we're still on look, hyena, they would be still moving, because it's a beautiful weather for them like that. Are nocturnal or a diurnal. So they are nocturnal, but they're able to move during the day. They allow us by the either weather, it's cool, cloudy, maybe drizzling, and they can still move, but also hungry taking place when they get so much prey species available for them to hunt around here, and they will probably get mobile, even it's still light. This area we're working right now, Tavangumi, he moves around here, in and out, quite often. But also slightly west of here, Kara, the female leopard, also. She moves in and out of that area. So we're checking places where we know they may move around if they're around. So I'm gonna carry on driving the roads, see what we're gonna find. So we've left Leopardin and we're heading just a bit further south towards the rocky ridge line. And, we're seeing lots of elephant dung, all of it very dry, and lots of elephant damage, but also all of it very old, mostly. And we're just wondering, where have all these animals gone? I mean, you look at the grass here, and you can see that it's been trampled down by elephants. You can see these loose branches pulled off the trees with their bark off. But the elephants seem to have moved off, and I wonder if they're using the last few weeks when there's still a bit of water in some of these mud wallows and pans around to move before they become quite tied to a particular water hole. So now I know here in Pridelands we've got 2 big water holes and one slightly smaller one. So I'm sure within the next couple of weeks we'll start to see more elephants in Pridelands. At the moment I'm just seeing bulls. Every now and again a herd comes in, but they don't stay long. I'm sure they'll be back soon. You can see this area is fairly thick still with grass. Not a thick area, it's a fairly open area, but there's lots and lots of grass around. And I was just talking about when the buffalo herds start to become more sedentary around here, they're going to destroy all this grass. And look at this stuff in here. This is all good quality grass. There's not much green left in it, but there's a little bit. And that's what the buffaloes are going to come and eat, and the elephants as well. I'm going to open this place right up. Even some of the trees have still got some greenness on them, especially these flaky bark thorns in front of us here, like this one. They've got some green vegetation left, not much, but this is highly nutritious, and that's why it's covered in these thorns, to protect it from being overgrazed, or overbrowsed, I should say. It provides valuable food at this time of year now. It's not a huge amount, but there's some small amount of high quality food that animals can sustain themselves, especially the mixed feeders, just until the next growing season, which, as I mentioned, is in just a couple of months already, just around the corner. Hopefully, we'll keep them sustained.
We have made our way to Twin Dams, where there's very, very, very little happening. We're going to take a moment to listen. Very, very quiet. Oh, but an Egyptian goose has broken our silence there. So on either side of the dam, there's not too much happening, and not any tracks leading this way either. But I do feel a bit spotty this morning, so I think that I might check the southern boundary since we're right here, as I said to you earlier. Maybe we'd get lucky and we'll also get to swing past that hyena den. Maybe we'll be lucky with them in the actual area where we can actually see. Because I did say to you the den entrance faces west, so when we're on Gari Main, we can't actually see unless they're actively moving around the den or they're on the northern side of the den, which is what we want. But just so you know, I have been checking it all the time whenever I've gone past, see if we would get lucky. So you have to check. If you don't check, then you'll never find them, right? At least we know that that's an active den and we can see our Djuma clan there. They haven't moved too far away. Okay, let's go. Yeah, let's make a move. I haven't seen any elephants either, or even fresh tracks of elephants. Well, we will find some animals to spend our time with. It seems that Obi is still searching himself at Tswalu.
Look at that beautiful sunshine coming through over the corona bag. Very, very beautiful. Look at that. Let's just take a moment and enjoy that. Obviously, these cheetahs that we trying to find looks like they were heading towards the mountains, but what I'm seeing also here is there's some antelope tracks. So the puzzle is getting fuller and fuller. Slowly but surely, we're unfolding a lot here. Going the same direction, there hasn't been any evidence of running whatsoever, but if I had to jump the gun, I would say sooner or later we'll start finding evidence that these cheetahs were definitely in pursuit of finding food. So I'm very convinced that we're heading in the right direction and heading for a wow, as I like to call it. Anything that adds a wow factor to us. Dominic, is it common for these predators to be following each other? Look, in the wild, it's all about something complementing something. You start from not just predators, you start from the soil. It gets complemented by moisture, and there's grass, and that complements the existence of antelope, and that complements the existence of predators, and predators complements the existence of scavengers, and so on it goes. So the food chain in that sense, it complements each other, but also looking at what niches or what gaps these animals fill, it makes absolute sense that you find such a coexistence or such an intertwined behavior between the three species that I've been mentioning here. And also, not only about who eats what and where everybody fits, as in the niches I'm talking about, it's also about dominancy. I mean, who's stronger than who and why. So if you look at your cheetah, it would be very successful when it comes to hunting as to compared to your hyena and your jackal. Obviously being able to take bigger prey. But what that does in contrary is the hyena, for example, would be stronger and intimidate the cheetah in terms of if the cheetah does kill. The jackal is very optimistic in the sense of it doesn't want to use the most energy to go hunt, so rather wait and find the scrapes and bits and pieces that remain. So it all comes together. It all makes sense in the sense of all this that I'm explaining. So it's I mean, like they say, simplicity is the most complications, or a way of trying to understand things. If you break it down to as simple as understanding it like that, then it's not as complex, but it makes it very complex. I don't know if that made sense or if you understood it, but that's exactly what has happened here, and this is the puzzle that we're trying to figure today. We're getting into an area where the grass is starting to become a little bit taller, so we're going to have to be a little bit more slower and a little bit more vigilant as this grass here, you can see the color. Almost, anything could disappear there, especially something like a cheetah where the color would almost be one and very identical. So let us pursue. This is, for me, this is amazing. So we're going to be sending you over to Trish, who I believe is also in search of something. Enjoy.
I'm also very excited. We have a hyena, I can't tell who it is at this distance, lying down at the termite mound there. The likelihood is that it's in Tima, because the other mum would be June, and we can very obviously see June's ears. So I think it's in Tima, and this is the best visual we have. I managed to just see it through the bushes, but I'm very excited to see them again. Woohoo, woohoo! You can actually see them at the... Oh! Now that was a surprise. That's the best. The little cub picked up its head. I feel so satisfied now. I feel like everything is right, everything is in order, because our Djuma clan, we've managed to see at least some of its members, and of course one of the cubs. I do miss them. But it was about time that they changed dens. They were using that den in that specific area on Djuma so much, and it surprised me that they didn't move dens as often as they probably should have. Yeah, they moved to the other den that's close by, but then they were still kind of using both. So the fact that they've moved, even though it is out of our property, was a good decision for their general survival. The smell of hyena and things like that is going to be quite a strong smell, and that would attract predators. So we can't have them always jeopardizing their survival just for the sake of our viewing pleasure. Obviously it's not because of us that they stayed, but here again. That's like I was saying, it was obviously not because of us that they stayed in that area, but you can't help but feel like you want them to stay there so we can view them more, but in fact it's not good for them. They needed a fresh new home. They still are spending a lot of time on Djuma though, because I see tracks coming in and out around this area quite a lot. She looks so peaceful. I did try and move around and see if we could get a better shot of her, but it seems like this is the best we can do for now.
As one of the industry's best and FGASA endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a FGASA accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
So, everybody was still driving around, but no luck at the moment. All we've seen is a lot of us spider web where there's it's only actually way to see the spider web is just after the mist, so, and they come visible because all of the dew stuck in there. So still all of a tropical spider, and there's quite a plenty of them in this area. And there we'll just gonna stick around there even though it's wet. These webs, and that spider is gonna actually wait right in the center. There is something that we see in just there, and I'm gonna still carry on look around here, see if we find anything. I'm gonna be sending you across to Obi.
So we found our first jackal. Also just running around here trying to search. So I'm believing we're getting closer. There it runs into the distance. But it's going the opposite direction. This is going to be interesting. There it crosses over. But definitely circling around in the area that we are in. So that's first species of the tracks we've been following. As I say, the puzzle is getting fuller and fuller by the moment. But I just want to follow and see where he's going. Looks like he's gone behind us again. So he's doing circles. And it's a little bit unusual that you just find one. So I think this is just a crumb to what we are about to unfold. I'm still going to continue heading forth, and maybe, and just maybe. All right, Just stick with me for a little bit. Let's see what we find here. He also looked very full. Very big belly. They would also be vocal, but I haven't heard anything this morning. I haven't had any vocalization, not from the jackals, not from the hyenas. Gabby, are jackals found in packs or are they usually alone? So what the common social behavior of jackals would be is that you find a pair that would rule over a territory, and that pair, what often happens is they will have youngsters, and those youngsters would stick in that terrain or that territory for as long as they are submissive. Now, it's a very interesting question that you asked. I was fortunate enough to be working hand in hand with a gentleman that was doing research on these animals. And he found out that by actually farmers trying to solve the problem of taking them out of their farms for livestock, they were actually making the problem bigger in the sense that you are destroying the social structure. Now, what happened, what nature intended is that all the dominant pair would have youngsters, and those youngsters would be subordinate to the dominant pair. Now, if you break the structure and you take one of the dominant out or both of the dominant out, what you are doing now is you're breaking the structure in the sense that the youngsters would start actually not having any discipline, and they would start breeding before it's time, and territories would start shrinking because they would want their own territories, and that made a ripple effect in multiplying the problem. So my point with what you are saying and what you're asking about the social structure of the jackals is, especially to farmers, this is a big ask. If you do have jackals, identify the dominant ones, leave them in the territory, let them have a big territory. That way they will keep the population down than trying to actually eliminate them. But yeah, very good question there that you asked, Gabby. I believe we're getting closer, but let's see. Very, very interesting here this morning in the Kalahari. Very interesting search. So while we still search, enjoy another very beautiful property.
We've discovered two tiny little butterflies that are sitting on a plant that I only know as a snakebite bush. Apparently might also be known as something similar to Warfaria or Wolferia. Now these two butterflies, I believe, are in the group of the Acreas. I'm not sure which species of Acrea these are, but these two are probably sitting here just trying to warm up. Now they're not feeding. I thought at first they were feeding, but I can see their proboscis are both curled up and tucked underneath their heads. They're not feeding at the moment. They're just trying to warm up and get enough heat to be able to move around and fly and visit whatever few plants still have some food for them. So the plant that they're sitting on is actually got these little flowers which are more or less dead now, but there's some around which might still have a little bit of pollen or nectar inside them, which could sustain these butterflies, but there's not much, to be honest, not much left. It's just nice to see, and they're very well camouflaged. These were actually spotted by Craig. I'm not sure how he managed that, because they are almost exactly the same color as the grass, the dried materials that are all around here. That's probably how these two butterflies have managed to survive as long as they have. Very few insects still active this deep into winter. You can see these spots and dots all over, and if they open their wings, you might actually even see bright orange colors, which can often warn off predators. A lot of butterflies might have a bit of toxicity in their body, which makes them impalatable, not tasty, basically. And many butterfly species, acreas included, often mimic the monarch butterflies, which are far, far larger, but very similar colors. And the monarch butterfly larvae feeds on milkweed, which is very toxic. That's what makes them toxic as well. I'm just very interested in how these two happen to be here. I wonder if it's a male and a female. I don't think so. They look the same. Similar antenna, similar colors, same size. Maybe just coming together for a bit of socialism.
We are not as still as those butterflies. Although it's getting colder, so I hope that it doesn't rain. Because there's so much moisture in the air, usually it'll rain quite quickly as soon as the temperature drops. Because there's obviously a dew drop temperature at which the moisture is condensing and coming down as rain. I don't know what the dew drop temperature for today is, but it seems to be dropping. I was expecting there to be a lot of predator movement today because of the weather. Overcast, cool. But maybe they're also feeling a little bit like they want to just chill. Make themselves a nice grass blankie. You know, chill on a termite mound. No, but if they're going to do that, they're going to get some snacks too. So that's when we should be finding them. Imagine if we find them curled up on a termite mound with their blankies. And, you know, a couple scrub hairs in there, in a bowl. They don't have a bowl, never mind. This is what days like this do to you, make you a little bit crazy. Or your imagination goes wild. We're on Shibama Road now. We've done the southern boundary. I saw a set of small female leopard tracks moving in, but they looked good. They just had already been driven over a portion of it, so I'm not sure when they're from, but they did look good. They look like they were over the moisture. So we're just going to hang out in this area, but I couldn't follow them because they were driven over, as I said. So we'll see if we can manage to pick them up again. But for now, we're just going to hope the weather holds up and we don't get rained on.
So everybody, we are stopping here, just looking at the impalas in this beautiful open area. We've seen males chasing each other. There was the bachelor males that they actually been separated due to the lost fight. But now seeing them returning close to the females, and a dominant male, he's pushing them off. as you can see how he just makes sure that, he's probably been in a fight by the very top of his horn. There's probably something stuck, probably these fair on the, probably this is when he was trying to defend himself or defend his high rim. Now senior males, they have been separated, all to the right. Coat is not fixed yet because of these little cold that's still taking place, so it's not shiny, still a little fluffy. Kalani, you asking, do the bachelor herd had a leader? There it's all various different males, bigger and the oldest males, and this is how they form a bachelor group. So there is an older one, but of course these are the one that always lead these young one, and they're making sure there's a way of survive when they gather around together like that. But it always doesn't has to be a leader. Because then they lead nobody, no females amongst them. But there is sometimes fight to take place among the bachelor group. In that fight in a group, usually it's all our strategies and all of us practice the strength for the next approach challenges occurred when the dominant male that is dominating high rim in that time, you may have a little challenge from that male. And these are doing allo grooming. So grooming is one of the key animals in groups that do. What you're looking at there now, what they do, lick on one partner and the other one in turn getting licked. So it's a way of help each other. So everybody we've been listening to on the audio or anything, checking on Impala whether they will be hunted, but we don't get any success, I'm going to be sending you across to Obi, who is also had an antelope.
Back to the Kalahari. Now what we have here is some oryx. They look a little bit shaken, startled, for a better word. So I'm really now being convinced that something is going on around this block. mind you, these blocks can be very, very big here in the Kalahari. So look at that, they're very uneasy. Keep looking around and almost like trotting about. So I don't know what they know. I wish I did. And they're walking away from us, which means for me the threat would be behind them. So I'm going to be circling around the block now. So second species of the equation. It's all coming together slowly but surely, not as quick as what we want, but we're making progress. We're really making progress. I'm liking what I'm seeing now, and where this theorem of mine is taking me. So I'm hoping I'm very right. So we are going to continue rounding the block, and hopefully the next time we meet, I'll have something completing the puzzle. I'm almost there. I would say, let's say 2/3 of the puzzle is done. Let's keep driving. Hopefully I'm not too far. Feeling very lucky this morning. Vivian, which is larger, an oryx male or female? At first glance, when you look at them, you wouldn't really see much of a difference, but definitely the male is bigger. And also, if you look at the horn structure, the females would have longer horns, but they would be thinner, much thinner as compared to the males. And it's just a visual thing that from sight you see them as more striking and more intimidating. But remember, the males need the thickness of their horns so that when they fight themselves, the horns don't break, but they do break because of the force. You can imagine the weight of the body coming at that impact, and how thin or how thick those horns are. You're looking at about, if I had to make as a point of reference, about that size from the base. And usually where they break is midway to the thinnest part of those horns. So that's one way from a long distance, sorry for that, that you would be able to actually classify male and female, is by the thickness of the horns. Slight difference in body mass, but not so significant that for a novice it would be very difficult to see. Here's a jackal, second jackal that we're looking at. So something is definitely happening around this block. We just need to find out what. Good morning to you, Sunshine. Tell us what you know. Again, confirming that it's coming from the side of the block. Keeps looking back in that direction. Beautiful, beautiful. Alrighty. Exquisite stuff. If something is happening, I think it's going to be mid-block, somewhere here. So once I think I'm close enough, I might be enticed to take a bit of a short walk inside and see. And then if we do confirm it, I'll take us in on the vehicle. But I'm liking what I'm finding today. And that's the beauty of trekking. This is the beauty of it. This is the fun part. change direction a little bit going into the sun, which can be a bit tricky for trekking also, because now you have to look almost past where you would ordinarily be looking, so it makes it a little bit difficult. So the ideal way of trekking is trying to put the trek between you and the sun, and not the other way around, where the sun is in front of the trek. So it makes it a little bit difficult for now, but nothing impossible. Thereon is trekking an easy skill to learn. The fundamentals are very basic, and once you understand the fundamentals of trekking, then applying it makes trekking easy. But if you miss the fundamentals of trekking, like anything, the basics are the most important. Anything in life, the basics are the most important. So what I mean about the basics is, can you ID the trek? That's to start off with. So if you can start there by, are you competent enough to ID the trek? And are you sure that that trek that you think it is, then you've got your first box ticked. The second is, do you understand the animal behavior of that particular animal that you would be trekking? So once you found the trek, ID'd the trek, now do you understand the behavior of the animal? And if you do, that's your second box tick. So if you apply the two, that, okay, I'm trekking this, and in the norm, this is how this animal would behave, that would give you almost an indication of where you're going with your trekking. And trekking is you find your confirmation by process of elimination. So when I say process of elimination, you would say this is a cat, for example, based on the fact that you're finding 3 lobes, it's round, it's oval, or whatever, so it limits that to 2 or 3 species, and then you find other evidence of other things that would confirm your species, and then from there you take it that way. So it's just a process of elimination, and once you've started eliminating those kind of things, it leads you. It's a leading thing. It takes you to the next and the next until you find your animal. The other thing is timing. So is the trek fresh enough? Is it worth following on? And those kind of things. And timing comes with elements. Has the trek been exposed to the sun? Has there been wind over the last 24 hours? Those are things you should have at the back of your head. So you would also be able to analyze that based on that. These treks have now changed and gone in a different direction. So they're taking me back to where I'm coming from. So I'm going to turn around and try around where those jackals were. So on that point, we sending you over to another very beautiful location. Let me backtrack. Enjoy.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular spectacular land-based safari, Maritaba luxury lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organization. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
We're now changing it up around Gallagher. There's some sun. Oh, isn't that beautiful? So we're going to take, I think, Gallagher Link, or Djuma Link, which is that second Gallagher shortcut, the one we call shortcut. It's actually called Djuma Link Road. And then in Mvubu and come back around and check it out here. That's because I found some male leopard tracks. They went into this block here. Again, they're nice-ish tracks, but they're not great tracks. But we'll just see where it takes us. It gives us a bit of direction, a bit of focus. So I will be leaving you on Wednesday. And before Wednesday, I need to see Salamba again. And I need to see Thandi. Feels like I haven't seen Thandi in a long time. So that's what I'm going to aim for these next 3 days. And of course spend lots of time with elephants and try and get to have some view of the hyena den, at least with some frequency in the next few days. I will see you again after that, I'm sure. I just don't know when. And what else? What else do I need to see? Some chameleons? Maybe an owl? Or a couple owls? But leopard-wise, I really want to spend more time with Salamba, and I want to see Thandi. And Tingana would be great. But otherwise, this stint we've had some really great and frequent leopard sightings. It's been, I think I've almost had as many leopard sightings as days, which is awesome. Normally, we don't always get to show you. Like I taught a span a second time and we couldn't actually show him to you. So I'm counting those two. But it's been a really, really good leopardy stint. So I hope it continues for the next few days. Susie, you'd like to know, do our car tracks not make it hard to read other tracks? So what we do is I can tell if there's tracks in the road by looking ahead of me. So if you just look on the road in front of me, you'll be able to see that there's only other vehicles' car tracks on it. Now, a predator's tracks are very obvious. So I'll be able to see that there are tracks in the road before I drive over them. And also, as you know, when you walk on the beach, you don't just leave one small section where you leave tracks, but the whole way as you walk. So if I see tracks there, I pick it up there in front of me, but they have been on the road the whole time, I would have driven over those existing tracks. But it wouldn't really matter because I've picked them up here. And then as we drive, so if I see there's tracks in front of me now like that, then I'll just move off to the side like this, and I'll be able to follow the tracks along here. Ideally, you don't want to drive over tracks because you might drive over a critical part, like maybe, you know, it's about to turn over into the bush or whatever. But you can always sort of work it out, so it's not too bad. And so sometimes the vehicle, knowing when vehicles go in and out, can allow you to time the tracks or put time on the track better. Anyway, let me send you back over to Andrew while I take this Djuma Link Road. Oh, okay, never mind. You just stick with me, everyone. Yeah, so the movements of the vehicles allow you to put a bit of a timestamp on the tracks, which is very, very helpful, especially in like fine conditions. A clear day, no wind, those types of conditions. No rain, when tracks can stay in good shape for a while. So then you might think that you've got great tracks when in fact the tracks are already a day old. Also, if you do find tracks in there over all the vehicle tracks, then you know, well, this is great. But sometimes that you can be tricked as well, because if I'm driving like this, I see tracks, I move a little like this, so I can see the tracks here, so I'm not driving over it. Then someone else comes along, and it looks as if this animal's tracks on top of all the other vehicle tracks, but then they've got to follow it for a little while until they realize that that I've actually been avoiding the tracks to follow them. There's some other things that are important to kind of just remember, but sometimes you may forget, because tracking is like, it's an experience. It's not something you can just learn. You've got to really absorb so many different things that you start to pay attention to. For example, tracks of vegetation moving over the sand and over your track could indicate that the track was there before the wind picked up. So lots of weather associated little tricks or little hacks. And the other thing is something that you don't really think about but is really important, is if you see human shoe tracks near those tracks, someone else has already been there and checked them out and nothing's been reported. So that's an important one to remember too. You can also see with vehicle tracks, if you can see if a vehicle stopped, you can see where a vehicle has turned around. You just have to be paying attention to it. It's more about keeping tabs on what you've got to pay attention to, because you know what you're focusing on. You want to find these tracks, but you need to keep a list of things to pay attention to, and that's the type of thing that becomes second nature when you had experience tracking. But if you just go out there, you know, out of having written down everything I've said and gone out into the bush and start tracking, you can have a tough time. Okay, Mandy, you'd like to know if I can tell whose tracks are whose. Depends. So Tingana's got one of his claws that he can't pull in. It's always extended. But you have to be looking very closely, and the soil's got to be really good for you to pick that out. It's not something I've been able to do, but if it's perfect conditions and you're really looking carefully at the track, you'd be able to see that. Kara has very small tracks. Smaller than any other female leopard tracks I've seen around. Yes, I can tell her tracks quite easily. But if you put a lineup of the tracks, in front of me, I could guess, but I'd know Kara, I'd know Tingana if you're featuring that little claw of his. I used like a Hukumuri's one, so I used to be able to see his because he seemed quite square and less elongated. But it's a very, very, very difficult thing to do, and that's just because I got to compare the leopards that I know. If you brought in other leopards tracks, I'd never be able to pick out the ones we know from, others that I've never seen. Well, we're on the boundary now. We're going to do Mvubu next and see what we find there.
Look what we found. We made our way back towards Leopard Dam, and we found a leopard tortoise. Now, it's hiding away at the moment, or it probably was hiding away, but it looks like something like an elephant or a buffalo or something came along and started eating this grass or doing something, and it's exposed its little hiding spot. This tortoise is not moving. It's very cold this morning, and it's a reptile, of course, so it is doing its best to stay as still as possible. It's tucked all the way in there, trying to avoid losing any fluids and also stay as warm as possible. There's not much food for a tortoise at this time of year, so it needs to stop moving as much as possible so that it can conserve energy. And this one is probably going through something that we call estivation, which is basically summertime or warm weather hibernation, where it basically will reduce its metabolism by staying as still as possible. Now you can actually see this one is in there, so I actually wondered if it was still okay. But if you look at the front there, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't want to disturb this tortoise too much, but you can see its legs just in there, creating a shield, and its head is pulled right into its body and hiding in there. So it's really hibernating or estivating. And we don't want to disturb it too much because tortoises and terrapins have a defense mechanism where they squirt out this very, very foul-smelling liquid from a sac in their body that's called the bursa. And now the bursa is there as a resource, like a reservoir of liquid or moisture that they can draw on in these very, very dry times. So if we would handle this tortoise, there's a chance it would squirt out its bursa at us, which smells really bad, and in doing so, lose that very important moisture resource. And now we're right next to Leopard Dam, so it could potentially be able to replenish that if it needed to, but it's very cold, and we don't want it to have to get up and use energy, so I'm going to leave this tortoise just here. I might even actually just lift some of the grass just to try and hide it a bit more, but wonderful. So glad we're able to see it.
Just completed rounding this block and still nothing. So what I am actually thinking about is pick up the last track and maybe get in by foot. I mean, these tracks are still very, very fresh. So I'm convinced we're not too far. I'm just gonna finish this block just to the point where I last saw the tracks going in and see what the tracks say to me. It's also, as you can see, the grass is slightly big here, or tall is the rather a better word to use. And if they were successful, they would be stationary, meaning they would not be moving much. Bobby Blue, are cheetahs scared of jackals? Not in my understanding. So they would stand their ground, but what jackals are renowned to do, just like any other scavenger, they are renowned to cause commotion. So what they would do is, in numbers, they would cause a lot of confusion for the cheetahs. So what they would do is one would almost walk directly towards where their carcass is, if there is a carcass there, obviously in hopes that it gets attention while the others do something else on the other side. And that way they would eventually almost get something out of that situation. Hyenas would do the same, but in this case, hyenas would rank higher in intimidation to the cheetahs. And obviously for cheetahs also, I mean, once the jackals get there, they don't want to use a lot of energy trying to chase them around and so on. So if it gets too much, then they would rather let those jackals actually feed without trying to chase them much. But if it's just a fresh kill, they'll try eat as much and sustain themselves first before they let that happen. But should it be something like a hyena, obviously, then they don't want to risk injury. They would rather let the carcass go, and then they would hunt at the later stage. Obviously, it takes a lot of energy for them to try redo the hunt. So that might be later in the day. There's some squirrels sunning themselves here. So obviously they don't feel there's any sort of threat around for them. Look at how they've fluffed themselves there, just on the entrances of the barrow system. Now they're getting our attention. Look at that, all starting to pick through. So jackals would also go for these kind of small rodents. But obviously these guys, they don't feel any threat. There's been a lot of jackals around here. But I mean, they can just quickly sneak into that barrow should anything come by. This is also how meerkats would also establish barrow systems, is because of ground squirrels like that starting such a beautiful barrow system out in the open. Sun catches it first thing in the morning. So if there were meerkats around here, they would also show interest. It's all relative to adaptation, survival, and just coexistence. That's all relative. That's paramount, actually, in the Kalahari. These are the only actually squirrels that we get, your ground squirrels in the Kalahari. In other places, you also find tree squirrels. Amanda, these are ground squirrels. Your question being, can these squirrels climb trees? So you get two kinds of squirrels, your tree squirrel and your ground squirrel. So this is your southern ground squirrel. You see that stripe on the side, very fluffed tail that they sometimes even use as an umbrella when it's too hot. They'll fluff it out and point it in the direction of the sun with the tail making a shadow over them. Whereas your tree squirrel is actually more yellow or fawn in color, and they would climb trees. So two different distinct species. These are ground dwellers, and that's why they would make these barrow systems in the ground. So I hope that answers your question there about can they climb trees. Two different sets of behaviors and social structure. Very, very beautiful. I can hear some jackals calling in the distance. Too faint for our mic to pick it up, but definitely with my naked ear I can hear some jackals calling in the distance. Benson, do these squirrels store and find food? It's almost a given with the squirrel umbrella that they would all do that, especially at times where food becomes abundant. They would definitely be, you'd see that behavior. It's prominent across the squirrel family that they do that. And not only is it important for them as to hide food for later, but they can also use it later as gifts and to try attract or entice copulation. So it's a very interesting behavior that they do display. And also being able to dig means they can hide them. So good adaptation there, or good something to have. Being able to dig makes it easier to hide. Not going to be spending much time with these guys. As you guys know that what we're trying to solve a puzzle here. And with those jackals that I was hearing in the distance, I'm very itchy to see what they were trying to communicate. Obviously, it could be a lot of things that that vocalization entails. Sounded like it came west of our position, so that's exactly where I'm going to be headed.
Hello everyone, my name is Elmarie and I'm very excited about this drive. My husband Kleinhan bought me this Ticket to Dream for my birthday as a present because he knows I watch WildEarth all the time. I couldn't be more happy. I've never had such a great present in my life before.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part about WildEarth is the characters, and then of course I love the bush and I love Africa, and just the fact that I can follow every day, that's one of my favorite things.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
Being on a live drive on WildEarth is really great because you can actually now smell the bush, see the animals in real life. You have to really make a plan and just do it.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of WildEarth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years, DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city
And it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching WildEarth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
So everybody, we drove a few roads. We drove the western boundary, but then we had a brief visual of a tortoise-span male, but then he crossed to the west, and then I'm still actually getting an update from the guys that he's still moving kind of like north from there. And then from there, I think we're just gonna get an update every now and then. If it happens, it comes back to the western boundary, which is a Trimple M from the gate side, Gowrie Gate. And then we're probably gonna return or ask for a standby there. But for now, there's no chance we can get in there. It's already crossed to places where we can't drive in. So I'm gonna take it easy around here, see what we're gonna find. We'll get to see him again, because then I only saw the tail and then of course the guys that actually had a good view of him and they identify him as a tortoise-span male, which I haven't really met him yet. So I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to be sending you across to TRISHALA again.
That is amazing! Tortoise-span spending so much time in this area. Oh well, not exactly this area, but at least to the west of Djuma. It has cleared up very nicely, which we're all very thankful for. The sunlight is now warming us up. And when the sunlight is warming us up, it means that the sunlight is warming up other little creatures like dwarf mongoose. They usually were at this, I have seen them at this time around a lot. But as I was approaching, I was watching, hoping that they would get their cue when I said the warming up of them, but they didn't. So we're going to drive past, see where else we can find some. We might even see some lizards. They'd be warming up. We're just going to wait here to see if the wax balls will be good to us. Oh, of course they all want to go down behind us. Move this way, move this way. I see one. Oh, never mind, it's flown down. wax balls fly out into the open area so we can show everybody exactly what you look like. Just how cute you guys are. So they're flying past and then landing where we can't see them. At least you can hear them. Very soft, high-pitched. There we go. Let's try this. I'll try and help you, Morgan. Oh, it's gone. There on the bottom. And it's gone. We just have the dandiest time trying to look for birds. It's also looking a little bit dark, so it's a bit difficult. But we're going to send you over to Obi now. He's found something that he's been looking for.
Oh, well. Never disappoint. Some meerkats at the barrel system here. Very, very beautiful. I mean, look at that. Just seeing how they are backlit. So we obviously behind them. And they facing the sun, trying to catch that warmth. Beautiful shots there, Gerard. Look at that. Just starting to get a little bit active. I think let's spend a bit of time with these guys and keep our mission paused for a little bit and see what these guys do for us. Some of the youngsters. Pulling its tail there. Beautiful. Yeah, the youngsters are not very interested in warming themselves up. They want something to eat. Look at that. Already just getting dirty and just trying to look for something there. A bit of a family meeting, some digging, housekeeping as we call it. Lighting is just exceptional. Look at that. There's a bit of wind picking up. So it's important that they do what they're doing with the wind picking up so that it doesn't blow that sand back into the barrels. That's why they're digging like that. There's a bit of sparring also happening in the background there. It's important what they are doing by sparring like that. Just keeping the hierarchy intact. Sure. Anna Marie, which group of meerkats this is? This is the rock stars. These are the rock stars. So we are a little bit south of the reserve. Usually the rock stars and the horses would collide. So not too far from where the horses would also coexist. But this is the most southern barrow system that I know that these rockstars often occupy. And then all the other barrow systems from here would be north and east of our position. So they've done very well for themselves, these guys. Listen. I think that was jackals, but not the same as what we were trying to follow up on. That sounded a little bit more further. But immediately you could see picked up on that. You could see two of the adults immediately looked at that. Yeah, it was very far. Look at how, very vigilant. Look at that. Immediately they just turn and concentrate on what they thought they heard. I would like to understand or know precisely how these guys, in comparison to human hearing, their hearing is. It's exquisite and exceptional to see that you would be at a barrow system like this, and all of a sudden they all turn to one direction, and you look and investigate, and you see something in the far distance, and you wonder how. Survival. Amazing. Jerome, how deep can the barrows get? So they won't go straight down. They would almost make like a J formation going down, and you're looking at anything up to about half a meter, which is like 45 to 50 centimeters going down. But then they can drag for a long time. Not going down, but going horizontal. They can tunnel longer than that. So straight down, it's probably, or underneath the ground would be up to about 45, maybe 50 centimeters under, and then it will tunnel. But also that J formation helps in times of rain, that it gives, that bend would give time for drainage. So when the water does get in, it helps that it keeps the water there, and it gives it time to go down. So we'll still stick around with them because they still around the barrow system and see what they do. But in the meantime we do that, we're going to be sending you over to another very beautiful location.
We made our way back towards Leopard Dam, and on our way in, we startled a herd of impala that ran off and actually sent this young elephant bull charging off into the distance. But he's made his way back now, and he's having a little bit of a drink on the southern edge of the dam. Now, as we've said before many times, when one elephant arrives, usually more are not far behind, and it does keep stopping every now and again and opening his ears and looking there towards the west. So I wonder if maybe from northwest somewhere there are more elephants on their way. It's quite possible. This elephant is turning its trunk towards us as well, so perhaps it can hear or smell us just a little bit. Unlikely, because of the wind blowing increasingly constantly from west to east. From this angle you can really see those two nostril holes at the bottom of its trunk and that very, very dexterous tip that's able to pinch single leaves, pluck thorns out of their feet, scratch their ears. Almost looks like it's scratching its chin there, having a bit of a thoughtful moment. Now he's going to suck a little bit of water up. I'm glad we've got some elephants. I know it's been a bit of a quieter morning, but sometimes you need mornings like this. I think it's going to be very windy this afternoon and this evening, so things could hot up in terms of the action on drives and walks. There's a whole crew of red-billed buffalo weavers making a lot of noise now on the northern end of the dam, or the western end of the dam. Just catching this elephant's attention now. I'm sure you can all hear it as well. Nanu, it is a beautiful elephant bull. It's a young elephant bull. I can't really tell how old it is. It's very difficult without references with other elephants around. But it's certainly not an old bull. I'm sure there are other elephant bulls around here who we will often socialize with. Nice symmetrical set of tusks as well. You can see that tusk that's closest to us now. It's very sharp. So I'm quite sure that it might use that tusk for certain tasks and the other tusk for more aggressive tasks like gouging and pressing. Whichever tusk is more blunt is the one that's usually used for those kind of tasks. Sometimes you can even see on the trunk of an elephant, one side will be more worn than the other, even just a bit more green from the grasses and the leaves that it plucks. It's another way to tell if it's a right or left-handed elephant. As you can see, we're standing on the wall here. There's a little bit of vegetation in front of us, just keeping us sort of hidden from view, not really hidden from view, but not just standing out in the open. Although even from the other end of the dam like we are, this elephant bull would probably be quite fine with us being here.
So everybody, we are still in the area, and then we could actually hear the audio of the car going. So it looks like that total span male, he was moving north, and then in that case he's probably entering the Simambile property, and I'm still around here, which I'm hoping to meet him soon if it's possible, if I don't lose him, because they're actually driving through this drainage line system. Sometimes they lost visual and they picked him up again, so every now and then. So we're just gonna see what's gonna be happening down there. Still could hear the vehicles going. We also saw a lot of his tracks, but probably during the night. See over all these misty is on top of that, so it doesn't look really fresh. And then we were so lucky. I mean, we just saw his tail there. So hopefully we get to see him soon. Whenever there's a gap, we're gonna get ourselves into that position to look at him. It's all the Franklin's calling in the background. Could be maybe something else. But he's not in that direction where the Franklin's calling. He's on the other side.
Foraging has started. You can see these youngsters were not willing to wait in the sun a lot, so they've just gone and started foraging, starting to spread a little bit. Obviously, this must be an area where they've been successful in the last day or so. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come out with there. It doesn't seem like they're digging deep also, so it must be like small worms that they are finding. Still one though cleaning one of the barrows, but definitely the youngsters hungry. Key talks. How do meerkats cope with sand and dust getting into their eyes? It's a very interesting phenomena. Sometimes when you do take photos of these animals, you sometimes just by luck catch a membrane. It's almost like a white membrane that they would run through the eye, or as they almost like close the eye, and that's what actually cleans the eye or the lens. And when they dig, sometimes that's what you would also get, that it protects the eye, that membrane. It does have a name. It just I can't think of it right now. That membrane. It's almost like it makes the eye almost opaque or milky or blurry. That membrane that I'm talking about. I'll just have to find the name again. I know the name, I just can't think of it at the top of my head now. And that's how they would actually keep the sand and the dust out of their eyes. Like now, what's happening? Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. So, thank you very much. Yeah, that's the name that I was looking for. It's the nectating membrane. Thank you very much. Sometimes you almost get a brain freeze where you're not getting what you wanting to say. Thank you very much there. But that nectating membrane helps them take care of their eye. I mean, there's so many things that if you think of it as adaptations or as survivals, it all makes sense how and why they are there. Active life, constantly doing something. That is some frantic digging there. I would be interested to find out if one had to measure each individual's digging in a lifetime of a meerkat, how many meters or how many kilometers does one meerkat actually dig? That would be a very interesting finding, but we'll one day find out.
As the sun goes down in Africa, for many, the day has just begun. WildEarth is ready for the next brand new concept, and this time, it's at night. A specialized thermal drone will take to the air under the cover of darkness. As it flies above the bush, it will be searching for hotspots on the ground.
We might have a leopard on the far right of this group of hyena.
The ground team will then be called to identify the animal.
It is a warthog. That's exactly what it is. So there we go. It was a warthog that was running away from... Sorry, Warty.
And of course, it is at this time when the big cats are on the hunt.
Yeah, James, just head a little bit more left.
Okay, Gabi, I'm going to go north around on Impala Road.
Okay, the lions are on the move, guys. Lions are chasing the wildebeest.
WildEarth is looking for a sponsor who can help turn this show to a long-running series. If you are interested, then head over to our website to find out more. WildEarth.tv/sponsors. As one of the industry's best and FGASA endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a FGASA accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
So everybody, we got into position of the Toto span male. He crossed into Djuma, but he's not really stationary, so we just lost him. We picked him up again, and then we now lost him for now. So I'm gonna try look around in these tall grasses, but he was moving very fast through these tall grasses. So I have to drive carefully around these logs. Hopefully we get to spot him again. And then looks like he's actually highly mobile. So I I don't want to stick around in the same area. He's probably maybe have moved out of here. Whether maybe he's behind another scented trail for another leopard. So Monica, you're asking if have I spent the time with the total span before? No, actually this is my first sighting of him, and I was so excited. The first time we spotted him and he disappeared, and the guys just told me that it was him. But I was always hoping to meet him. So there we just lost him. It's a little bit of a drainage line system where we think he may sometimes have moved maybe along that, but inside. And there we can't drive in the middle of that. We just have to get an open section where we can able to look out for him again, which we're doing right now. But also the other guys lost him a couple of times, so that they were so privileged to pick up him again every now and then. Yeah, I'm only checking, but I'm gonna check the axis where we had Impala. It's not far from here. Just hoping that probably I either come out there, you never know. Lily Pen, so you're asking if he's a skittish leopard. What I just saw there, he was not actually more relaxed. And then since I don't know much of him, I didn't actually pay a lot of attention to that. I only just have to keep a distance. But I found out about his status of what kind of male is he. Whether he's shy, whether he's so relaxed with the vehicles, whether he doesn't like companies. This is where we spend the time with impalas early on, but they're still around here. So for now, since we got Impala on our right hand side, it's fine. I'm only looking for him. So I'm going to drive the road, but I'm going to keep my eye open on my left hand side in case he's already making his approach to these Impalas. Everybody, let me try see if we will locate him again, but I'm going to be sending you across to TRISHALA, which she's with Impalas as well.
Well, we hope that Andrew will be able to find a tortoise pan. It's amazing you give up on looking for a leopard when they take you through the thick stuff, and you've been searching and searching and searching. It's going to take you a while to get out of the block, and then finally you do. And most of the time I found that I come out onto the road, and then it's like the animal's there on the road too. Well, let's hope that Andrew can be lucky in that way. Here there's some young males and some, like I've said, the groups are starting to coalesce back into those mixed herds of Impala, but there were a couple young males that were having a go at each other there near the cricket field that was a little behind us. Not an actual cricket field, as you know, a field that looks like a cricket field. So we've concluded that they're not players, but rather spectators. One of the youngsters got a good jab or two in, I must say. All that practice necessary for when they themselves will be involved in the rut. It's warmed up nicely. I'm sure they're very comfortable. They're not looking puffed up and all velvety like they do when they're cold, like they were looking this morning. So I'm sure they're going to have a great afternoon, or a great morning and a great afternoon, which is when we'll see them and see you next. So it's that time, everyone. We have to say thank you for your questions and your comments, and of course for watching. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and we're going to head off to breakfast this afternoon. I hope I'll be able to find you more animals. Anyway, bye guys.